Many of you on the spiritual path have already opened so many doors for yourself. And we want to emphasize that every time you open a door for yourself, you open a door for others, you open a door for the rest of humanity. It is so important for you to see the true reflection that you are for the rest of the world to see back in you. You reflect out a beauty to the world so that that world can reflect it back to you. And every time you move forward, every time you expand your being, every time you shine your light into the world, it is a beacon, it is a signal, it is a reminder to others that they can do the same. And so every time you work on yourself, you give the world permission to work on itself. You give others permission to work on themselves. Every time you shine your light, every time you voice your truth, you allow this space to be created for others to do the same. And because of the nature of this reality and universe, because of the nature of energy reflecting energy and humanity reflecting humanity, what you put out will at some point be returned to you. But it is more than that, because for those other humans that witness you, not only do they see and feel your energy, but it activates something within them, something that may have been dormant, that activates and brings them to a new level. As you raise yourself up, you raise others up. And so we tell you this in honesty, with earnest, heartfelt, loving energy, that you are the saviors of humanity. Because you are here tonight, because you have taken steps that others haven't. And we say this with humility. We say this not to put you on too much of a pedestal, but for you to understand the importance of everything you do every time you do it, and the importance of the energy you put into the world every time you step up to the plate, every time you swing that bat, whether you hit a home run or miss. Just the energy of standing there and taking the swing is more than you can realize, does more for the world, does more for your own energy than anyone realizes. It is true power to step into your truth, your being, and to even just try. We want to also emphasize the importance of continually trying to improve yourself. For every time you improve yourself, it allows space for the world to be improved. It allows space for improvement to be reflected back. And so we ask you to keep trying. And as long as you keep trying, you will keep succeeding. Even if you consider yourself unsuccessful today, which we would not label as such, for every act brings you closer. Every act raises you up. Every act is you overcoming some kind of fear and doubt. But to resonate a little bit more with the current state of the human mind, we will use words like try. Every time you try, even if you don't succeed, you are putting out more change and more love and more expansion than you realize. And we see it from the other side, and it gives us great pleasure. It gives us an enormous amount of joy to see every human step up in expansion and embrace a little bit more of their truth every day. And we encourage you to keep doing this. Keep expanding, keep telling your truth, keep being true to yourself, to who you are, and keep doing the work. And we use work loosely because there are some negative connotations around the world. around the word. When we say work, it is just about putting in effort. It is not meant to be anything that has to be done. It is not meant to be anything agonizing. When you work on yourself, it is simply the act of putting effort towards doing something. And when you put effort towards improving yourself, every effort expands upon the last, and you learn more and more. Earlier, there was conversation around the Olympics. And while there are certain circumstances to help create gold athletes, gold medal winning athletes, such as being in a family of athletes, such as being in the right place in the right time and having the right coaches, there's also an inner desire and an inner drive that some of these athletes have that does not exist on the same level in other humans. So yes, there are a lot of factors that go into creating a gold medalist. However, this is the perfect example of how far humanity can come, how far anyone can come by pushing themselves further, by wishing to improve themselves. None of these gold medalists began as gold medalists. None of them began as Olympic contenders. None of them began as winners of any type of competition until they first entered. And they didn't first enter until they first tried. And they didn't first try until they first had a thought of trying, a desire of trying. So as long as you keep desiring to improve yourself, you will. And as long as you keep desiring to improve yourself, you will improve the world. Whether this takes decades or centuries or months or days, it happens all the time in every moment. And we thank you and honor you for all the times that you have put in to serving a better version of yourself and a better version of humanity. Thank you. Right now, we're just all kind of in this state of hibernation, frozen, right? So for all of us, for anything we want to do, I think right now is just a holding pattern for any big projects we want to do, for any big leaps we want to do. Right now, it's more about just tuning into ourself and cultivating. It's like the gestation period. So if you do want to move this year and you're feeling a calling, now's the time to just kind of work on creating that energy, but not putting too much into trying to make it happen right now. It's a perfect time, being the beginning of the year. We're just going into February, and that energy of the Chinese New Year switching and the horse coming in. Now's a perfect time to be setting your intentions, to be creating your manifestation lists for the year. Write them down. If you want to create an actual manifestation board, that's good too. This is the perfect time to put that energy into it, to write down what you wish for the year, and even put into what you want to manifest, so that if you are moving, so put energy not just into, yes, I want to move, I want to find the perfect place, but what does the perfect place look like for you? Put energy into what it is that you consider the perfect home. And that doesn't even have to be about like the size of it. It doesn't mean you need to go find some big mansion, but it's about the energy of it. What do you consider the perfect home for yourself? And focus on that energy to bring that energy into whatever your new space will look like. And I give you that same option for your relationship too. I'm feeling that same energy where it's about not even that you have to change relationships or find somebody new, but it's about putting that energy into what that perfect relationship looks like for you. So put energy into what the perfect relationship feels like for you and what the perfect relationship looks like for you. And that is more important than necessarily cutting a picture out of a magazine, right, to stick on your board of like, this is the perfect person for me, this is the perfect house for me. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But it is about the energy of it and the intention of it. And a lot of times we say we want things, we say we want to manifest things, and we skip this part. We skip this part of really tuning into the energy of what does it mean to be in the perfect relationship? What does that mean to me? What does it feel like to me? What does it mean to be in the perfect job? What does that feel like to me? What does it mean to be in the perfect home? What does that feel like to me? So really bring in those feelings and allow yourself to be in those feelings, and do this over and over again. Keep putting that message out that this is what it feels like for me to be in the perfect home, the perfect relationship. And you were also asking about a book. And so again, the same thing applies, that now is a good time to start putting that energy into it. And if I'm defaulting back to you, because it really is about a calling, especially when it comes to writing, because it really is about a calling to feel like now is the right time. You don't want to try to force it, or it's not going to be your best work. It's not going to come out the way you want it to. So when you feel that pull to grab a, whether it's a pencil and you start handwriting, which is a great way to do it because you're putting physical action into it, and it's very different handwriting something than typing, but typing is fine too. Just whenever you're feeling pulled towards it, sit down and do it. And you also don't feel like you have to sit down and write like a whole chapter or anything like that. You just might feel an inkling towards the book and might want to just sit down and start creating some outlines. You might want to sit down and just start playing with titles, and it starts bringing the energy of the book, and you just do it in baby steps and keep following the energy of how it's leading you and how it wants to be brought into the world and birthed into the world. And it might take off. You might end up writing your first draft all in 1 week, all in 1 day, or it might be a couple months from now. The health. All right, so let's see. I got to move myself out of the way. Health is a tricky thing. My wife's going through a lot of health issues right now, and I keep kind of asking God in the universe, like there's got to be a better way for us to deal with our health issues and problems, especially as we're getting older. And I have never gotten a clear answer on it. All right, so let me back off a little and just feel what's coming through. I am feeling that for you, a lot around physical health is very connected to loving yourself and caring for yourself. And obviously, because we're in a body, that does translate into food, but it is far more than that. It is definitely beyond that. When we say caring for yourself, it is about loving yourself, being gentle with yourself, kind of, it's like applauding yourself for what you have done in this world, what you have overcome, for still being here, for all the things that you keep doing, for all the things that you wanted to do. Hold a lot of self-love around who you are in this lifetime, and that energy will trickle into your physical being and help with some of the health issues that you may be experiencing right now. And so I just want to go back to the previous message and just start there with the self-care, physically, emotionally, mentally, self-care, and just continually loving yourself and being gentle with yourself and loving every part of your life that you've been through, regardless of what it looked like. Love that you've made it through it. Love that you're still here. Love that you're still going. And love that you're here tonight, that you're here in Awaken, that you're here putting yourself in spaces with other spiritual people, with wanting to improve the world, with wanting to improve yourself. It is all part of that vibration and expansion that my earlier message was coming through about how important it is for any one of us to understand that working on ourselves is also helping the world expand and open and giving them a space. So that happens internally. What happens externally is reflected internally. So when we create that space for others, we're creating our space for ourselves. When we create a space for ourselves, we're creating a space for others. And I wish I had a little bit more for you specifically around health, but it's just not coming through right now. Thank you. We are honored to be a part of this group, to see all of you expanding, to see all of you living, to see all of you loving yourselves and the path and this life. Because as a human, it is so easy to be caught up in the greater energy. It is so easy to get caught up in the drama of humanity. And we do not say that as a judgment, for humanity was created as emotional beings, and as emotional beings, it is natural to create drama, to be drawn into drama, and for those even thrive off drama. And it is part of being an emotional being. And where the evolution truly comes in is shifting from a state of being an emotional drama or trauma, an emotionally reactive state, and moving into a state of awareness and being, and still allowing yourself to feel fully without taking it personally, because that is where the drama comes in. That is where the trauma is held onto, when things are taken personally and you feel a victim to what was happened, or you feel a victim to what is happening currently. And it is one of our greatest messages and wishes for humanity, and it is one of the greatest challenges for humanity to step away from taking things so harshly and personally, and stepping away from being caught up in the drama of things, and instead shifting into loving awareness that you are in a reality and an experience where all things are felt, all things are allowed. And you come into this lifetime to help shift, to help expand, to help heal. And it is done through either your direct experiences or through you observing and being a part of experiences of others. Because when someone close to you has an experience, even though you do not feel it directly, you very much feel it indirectly. And depending on how close you are with that other person is equal to the feeling that is passed on through you, through their experience. And so in this human experience, we have direct experiences and we have these indirect experiences. And as we piece them all together, we learn and we grow and we feel through all the possibilities and emotions and what it means to be human, what it means to experience humanity. And as always, it is up to you individually and collectively to shift that. And we know that the collective shift takes time because it is such a massive energy. And so in a sense, we weep for you, we weep for humanity, tears of passion, not in sadness, not in regret, tears of passion for humanity, for the task it has of having to push through all that is around you to find yourself within it, while at the same time dealing with the reflection of energies within yourself, within your own body, reflected by others around you, your families. And again, the levels of relationships mirror on a one-to-one basis the energy that's brought back in and out of your life. And that is why family dynamics are sometimes the most difficult and most painful for so many people, because it is the closest relationships you have growing up until you have your own partner. But even when you have your own partner, if you bear your own children, the relationship with your own children might be even closer than the relationship of your partner. It is not anything to be judged. It is just about energy to be felt and experiences to be had. But understand that an experience to yourself you feel the most. An experience within a close-knit unit, such as a family, you experience next. And then it branches out from there. So when something happens to a friend, the empathy for that friend, it still activates something in you without you having to have that same experience. And it is all just levels of energy and experiences here on Earth. And those levels continue. And it's also why you come back throughout lifetimes to experience different levels of humanity, different levels of experiences. And it is all stored up in your data bank, in your records. And you carry it through from lifetime to lifetime. And even here in this lifetime, we assure you that everything you have gone through, not only in this lifetime, but everything you have gone through in past lifetimes, even though you may not consciously remember it, it is all stored in your being, in your soul imprint, even in your cells on some level, in your DNA. When we talk about ancestry, the energy of the ancestors literally comes through the DNA. And so you literally and physically have this energetic tie to your ancestors, but it also means that you can pull in any part of them, their strength, their resilience, their power. It is literally in your DNA, but it also comes through energetically. And so it is so important to understand that throughout your generations, you do so much good for each generation to come. And everything you do now in this lifetime to expand yourself, to bring more awareness into your life, that gets passed on, whether you know it or not, whether you feel it or not, it gets passed on to future generations. And we promise you that they thank you for it, for everything that you do in this lifetime, for everything you have overcome in this lifetime. You are not only doing it for yourself, you are doing it for future generations of your own lineage and future generations of all of humanity. And that is why each life is so important. And that is why each trauma that each life experiences, each drama that each life experiences, each time a human overcomes something, each time a human steps up and steps forward and pushes themselves even just the slightest bit past their fear, past that line, it moves that line for all of humanity, for all of the future generations. And things are done one step at a time. And so it's so important to understand that even though a human lifetime, even if it's 100 years, it is so small compared to the big picture. And when we say small, we do not use that word meaning insignificant. We say small in comparison to the grandeur of the lifetimes that you've lived and the lifetimes to come. And yet at the same time, one day in your life can change the world more than you can possibly realize. And also realize that it might take lifetimes for bigger changes to occur, but they will occur. And it is each human's energy that they put forth, each human's intention they put forth, that helps draw these things closer to us and quicker to our reality, allowing them to happen. And understand that when you put intention out, it is a strong signal being sent out into the world. The signal itself, once you set your intention, the signal itself cannot be broken, cannot be destroyed. So no one can come into the past to break your signal. However, the signal does become distorted through interference, through the interference of the world and through the interference of yourself if you start having counter thoughts. So your counter thoughts don't stop the original thought, but it does create interference, just like static on a radio. And so when you put your intention out, I want to find the perfect mate, I want to find the perfect home, I want to create the perfect book, I want to have perfect health, it is important to put those intentions out there, but it is equally as important not to interfere with them. Just like if you're trying to listen to a radio and there's static, you can't hear the message very clearly. The universe does not hear your message very clearly when there's too much static in the way, when there's too much distortion in the way. And so it is important for you to keep working towards being clear and not reversing your own messages through negativity and density. So keep repeating the message to yourself, to the world, and keep working on clearing yourself, your energy, your mind, your emotional being, so that none of that creates static in your desires that you're putting out into the world. And so the more you can clear yourself, the more you can clear that air, the more you can clear that static, the quicker the intention putting out is reflected back. And the clearer the message reflected back, the quicker you can then expand on it. And the quicker you realize your power, and the quicker you realize, oh, if I created this, what else can I create? Let me now try to create this. And then that comes. And then you want to go bigger. Well, let me try to create this. And that comes. And so now you can go bigger. And you're capable of going from where you are now to the most grandiose idea, but it does take a lot of clarity and effort. And so it is unlikely, but not impossible. And this is where working on yourself and clearing yourself becomes more and more important, because it clears the way for your intentions and your manifestations to come even quicker and even grander than you realized. So we thank you, dear humans, for all that you do, for the bravery that you put forth in every day, in every moment. And we ask you to always be gentle with yourself and keep clearing the way for a better, brighter life and future for yourself and for all of the future generations to come. And you will see that you are only clearing the path for yourself and your own return. Thank you.